Attention gun owners. In March 2026, a federal appeals panel flipped several major firearm rules overnight. That shift could save you $9,180 or cost you far more in court. Last Friday, a 75-year-old named Nancy in Milwaukee, Wisconsin got a call from police. They warned her a range bag item might now be legal, but her county disagreed. She felt sick, because one wrong move can still turn you into a defendant. Stop for 5 seconds and look right here. If you're not subscribed, you're gambling with your rights and your record. I post updates fast because rules change before most people even hear. The next video could keep you from making a costly mistake. Tap subscribe now, and you'll actually see the urgent alerts. Here's the scary part you need to understand today. A court can change enforcement, but your local agencies might lag behind. That gap is where normal people get trapped. You can be right on paper and still get detained on the street. So your job is to move carefully, not just confidently. This ruling didn't appear out of thin air. Several rights groups teamed up and challenged a bundle of state restrictions. They used real people who were blocked, fined, or threatened by unclear rules. The lawsuits climbed through courts until an appeals panel finally answered. Now, parts of the old playbook are collapsing in multiple places. The decision hits about 10 buckets of rules, not just one narrow policy. It targets limits on common equipment, slow delays, and permit games. It also questions broad no-carry zones that lack real security. It tightens due process for emergency gun removals based on accusations, and it pushes back on mandatory owner lists built by state agencies. But don't hear that and start celebrating too early. Some states will ask higher courts to pause the decision. Others will rewrite rules with new labels, hoping you won't notice. A few agencies may enforce old rules until someone sues again. That's why you must verify what applies in your exact location. Here's what frustrates me about how this plays out. Good people want to obey the rules, but the rules keep shifting. Meanwhile, loud voices online spread half-truths that sound confident and simple. That makes you the one taking the risk, not the keyboard expert. You deserve clear guidance, but you have to demand it and double-check. Let me tell you about Patricia. She is 71 years old and lives in Seattle, Washington. She volunteers at a food pantry and carries cash for supply runs. One afternoon, a shop clerk said her magazine choice could mean a $7,460 penalty. She froze because she thought she bought normal gear years ago. 2 days later, Patricia saw a news clip about the court ruling. She felt relief at first, then panic when the clip lacked local details. She called 2 friends, and they gave opposite answers with total confidence. Her stomach dropped when she realized guessing could cost her $3,275 in legal fees. So she decided to stop listening to rumors and start building proof. Then the situation got worse in a weird way. A local range posted a sign banning certain items until further notice. Patricia worried that a misunderstanding could lead to a report or a trespass claim. She also heard a nearby county still treated her gear as contraband. That threat felt urgent because she had a training class scheduled in 9 days. She didn't want a scene, but she also didn't want fear to win. Patricia took a calmer path that still protected her. She contacted a state firearms rights group and asked for written guidance. She also called her county sheriff's office and asked what they enforce today. When she spoke, she used simple words and asked for the policy link. They confirmed a change, but warned city rules might still be argued. That single call saved her from an $8,115 mess at the range gate. Now Patricia keeps a small folder that travels with her range bag. It has receipts, a copy of current state guidance, and class paperwork. She doesn't wave it around because she's not trying to provoke anyone, but she feels safer knowing she can explain herself if questioned. Her lesson for you is simple. Don't rely on vibes when laws are moving. This is where your anger should turn into strategy. You can be upset about unfair permit games and confusing restrictions, but your real win is staying out of trouble while the dust settles. You're not trying to beat your neighbors or your local officers. You're trying to protect your freedom, your family, and your future. Let me tell you about Thomas. He's 69 years old and lives in Denver, Colorado. He runs a small repair business and often works after dark. After a break-in nearby, he tried to buy a handgun for home defense. The store told him he might face a $11,640 delay problem depending on the rule. A week earlier, Thomas had been threatened by an ex-employee. He wanted protection quickly, but the old process forced long waiting periods. He felt angry because danger doesn't pause for paperwork. He searched online and saw people claiming same-day pickup is now guaranteed. That claim sounded great, but he didn't know if it was true locally. Then came the escalation that caught him off guard. A city council member announced new safety steps the very next morning. The proposal didn't say waiting period, but it created an extra approval step. Thomas realized leaders might replace one barrier with a different barrier. He pictured another $2,180 in lost work time from repeated trips to the store, and he worried a mistake could bring police to his door, not the criminals. Thomas chose a smart, boring solution that actually works. He asked the dealer what they follow today and what they won't risk. Then he checked his state's official bulletin page for updates and memos. He also booked a short consult with a local attorney for $365. That attorney explained which rules changed and which ones stayed. Thomas avoided a bad purchase attempt that could have triggered a $6,530 headache. Today, Thomas still bought what he needed, but he did it correctly. He also upgraded his home lighting and changed his lock routine. He learned that faster access doesn't mean no rules at all. His biggest takeaway for you is to slow down and confirm details, because the person who goes first often pays the highest price. Quick pause, because I need your help for a second. What state are you watching from right now? Drop your state name in the comments so I can track where confusion is highest. Rules and enforcement can differ a lot across state lines. Your comment also helps this reach the people who truly need it. Now let's clear up a dangerous misunderstanding. Even if several state rules fall, federal restrictions still exist. If you're prohibited under federal law, this ruling doesn't erase that. Dealers still must follow background check systems and record-keeping requirements. And crimes committed with firearms are still crimes, with serious penalties. So don't turn a rights update into a reckless decision you can't undo. Another big piece involves sensitive places and public carry restrictions. Some areas used signs to ban carry without providing any real protection. The court logic says you can't disarm citizens and also refuse safety coverage, but schools and certain secure facilities can still be restricted. So you must learn what secure actually means in your jurisdiction. If you guess wrong, you could still face a $4,140 charge stack. Also, watch for permit traps that look like safety training, but act like barriers. Some states required purchase permits with fees, long waits, and extra approvals. The ruling pushes back on paying for permission to exercise a basic right. Separately, some states use discretionary carry permits tied to personal judgment. The court logic says objective standards must replace personal bias. That doesn't mean no screening, it means the screening must be fair and clear. Let me tell you about Barbara. She's 73 years old and lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. She owns a small townhouse and cares for her sister on weekends. She applied for a carry permit and got denied without a real explanation. The denial risked $12,190 in travel costs because she crossed counties for care. At first, Barbara blamed herself and felt embarrassed. She wondered if her paperwork was wrong or her references were too weak. Then she learned her county used a discretion standard, not a strict checklist. She got angry because she met every listed requirement. A friend told her to just reapply, but that meant more fees and delays. She didn't want to beg for something she qualified for. Then the pressure rose fast. Her sister's neighborhood had a string of car break-ins and porch thefts. Barbara started changing her schedule to avoid evening visits. That made her feel trapped, like criminals controlled her calendar. She also worried the denial could follow her in other applications. The fear became real when she received a letter warning of a $1,180 appeal fee. It felt like the system punished her for asking. Barbara handled it with calm power instead of loud rage. She requested her file and asked for the exact reason in writing. Then she contacted a local advocacy group for a low-cost referral list. She found an attorney who reviewed her case for $240 and spotted errors. They sent a formal notice asking for objective standards and a fair timeline. Within weeks, her county switched procedures and reopened her application. Barbara didn't become a different person overnight, but she stopped feeling like she had to apologize for existing. She now carries responsibly, trains monthly, and avoids drama online. Her lesson for you is to demand clarity without turning it into conflict, because documentation and calm persistence beat shouting when you're dealing with bureaucracy. Real quick, if you're getting value from this, hit the like button. The algorithm pushes videos with strong like ratios to more people. That means more gun owners learn the rules before trouble starts. It takes 2 seconds, and it costs you nothing. Like the video right now so others can find this message. Now let's talk about equipment bans that were based on looks, not function. Some states banned common rifles due to external features and naming schemes. The court logic challenges bans that treat similar tools differently without real reasons. It also challenges blanket limits on common magazine capacities. The idea is that ordinary defensive tools in common use get stronger protection. That matters, but it also creates confusion while lawmakers scramble to respond. Ammunition rules are another hot zone to watch closely. Some places tried to require special checks for every ammo purchase. Others added quantity caps that turned practice into a paperwork event. The court logic treats ammo access as tied to the right itself, so those extra steps may fall or shrink in certain regions. Still, stores may follow old procedures until they get clear direction. Dealer rules are part of this fight too. Federal licensing already brings inspections, records, and strict compliance duties. Some states layered extra licensing costs that push small shops toward closure. The court logic warns states not to build side barriers to block access. But don't assume every local business rule disappears overnight. Shops will protect themselves first, so your patience matters during transitions. Let me tell you about William. He's 70 years old and lives in Austin, Texas. He collects older firearms and keeps them in locked cases. A relative accused him of being unstable after a family argument. Within days, he feared a petition could trigger a seizure without a hearing. The accusation also threatened his job because he drove a company vehicle. At first, William laughed it off. Then the fear hit him. He realized a false claim could still cause officers to show up suddenly. He pictured neighbors watching, gossip starting, and his reputation getting damaged. He called the courthouse and learned procedures varied by county. That made him feel powerless because he didn't know the timeline. He worried he'd spend $9,170 just to prove he wasn't a threat. Then it escalated with a deadline that felt unfair. A clerk explained that some orders used to be granted without the accused present. William felt angry because he believed you should face your accuser quickly. He also learned that delays for hearings could stretch longer than most people expect. That meant his property could be held while he waited for a chance to speak. He imagined missing work shifts, losing pay, and risking a $2,450 eviction chain. The stress didn't come from guilt, it came from uncertainty. William didn't wait for the worst to happen. He scheduled a consult with an attorney and asked about rapid hearing rights. He also prepared a calm file showing medical records, work history, and safe storage. When a notice arrived, he responded immediately and requested the earliest hearing. The judge required fast review and let William present evidence. The result protected his rights and spared him a $13,220 spiral. William's life is calmer now, but he stays careful. He avoids heated arguments and keeps family conflicts away from public threats. He also learned that rights mean nothing if you miss deadlines. So he keeps contact numbers ready and a plan written down. His lesson for you is to prepare before you're targeted, not after. Think of someone you care about who owns firearms, a parent, a sibling, a neighbor, or a friend at your range. If they don't know these changes, they could make a costly mistake. Share this video with them right now by texting the link. Don't wait until later, because later is when trouble happens. Now we move into the hopeful part of this story. When courts demand clearer standards, your odds improve if you stay organized. When discretionary permits fade, more people can follow a fair checklist. When broad bans shrink, you may regain access to common tools. But hope only helps you if you turn it into a plan. So let's turn your concern into simple steps you can actually follow. Here's exactly what you need to do. I'm giving you 5 steps that keep you safer during fast legal changes. Each step is simple, and none require you to be a lawyer. You don't need to do everything today, but start with step 1 this week. Write these down in your phone notes so you can find them later. Ready? Because this is where you protect yourself without taking unnecessary risks. Step 1. Verify your state and county guidance using official sources, not social media claims. Start with your state attorney general page or state police bulletin updates. If you can't find it, call your county sheriff non-emergency line politely. Say, I'm trying to follow current policy. What is enforced right now? Ask for a link or document name and write it down exactly. Do this by Friday, because confusion gets expensive when enforcement is inconsistent. Step 2. Create a simple paper trail for your firearms and common accessories you own. Keep receipts, serial documentation, and purchase dates in one safe folder. Take clear photos of receipts with your phone and back them up. If an officer questions you, you can show lawful ownership without arguing. This won't guarantee anything, but it can shorten a stop dramatically. Start tonight, because paperwork is easiest before a problem arrives. Step 3. If you carry or plan to carry, learn your sensitive place rules with precision. Don't trust a random sign, and don't trust a random comment thread. Check your state statutes and your city ordinances for specific location bans. Call a local attorney's office and ask for a short paid consult if needed. Ask, Where can I carry today, and what areas are still restricted? Do this before your next outing, because one mistake can cost $5,640 fast. Step 4. Get training even if your state stops requiring it for permits. Training helps you handle the tools safely and helps you understand lawful defense. Find a reputable instructor with a clear curriculum and a clean safety record. Ask for a certificate or completion note and keep it with your documents. If you ever face scrutiny, your training shows you took responsibility seriously. Schedule a class within 30 days, because skills fade and stress ruins decision-making. Step 5. Support organizations that fight in courts and educate people responsibly. You don't have to donate huge money to matter. Even $18 a month helps fund lawsuits, research, and public guidance. Also, subscribe to reliable channels and newsletters that cite primary documents. Your goal is steady updates, not panic spikes every time rumors explode. Pick your sources this weekend, because the next shift can come quickly. Now let's talk about responsibility, because it protects you and your community. Safe storage prevents tragedy, and it also prevents theft that fuels crime. If kids visit your home, lock up with methods that fit your situation. If you travel, plan for transport rules so you don't create accidental violations. Practice conflict avoidance, because the best fight is the one you never enter. Rights are real, but so are consequences when someone acts careless in public. Here's what I think happens next, and you should be ready for it. Some states will appeal and ask judges to pause parts of the ruling. Some lawmakers will try new methods like special taxes or insurance requirements. Some cities will use zoning to squeeze dealers until they leave town. And some agencies will simply delay updates, leaving you stuck in uncertainty. That's why you keep watching, keep verifying, and keep your plan updated monthly. Let's review what we covered. A new court decision changed how many states can restrict common firearm activity. You learned why enforcement may differ from what headlines claim. You heard how permit games, ammo hurdles, and broad bans can shift quickly. You also saw how due process matters when accusations trigger emergency actions. Most important, you learned that verification and documentation reduce risk massively. You now have knowledge that can protect your freedom and your wallet. Here's the final punch I want you to remember. Most legal trouble starts with one confident assumption you never double-checked. One clerk's mistake, one outdated policy, or one rumor can snowball fast. But you're not powerless, and you don't need to be fearless to act. You just need to be methodical, calm, and ahead of the next update. That's how you protect your rights without handing your future to chance. If this helped, here's what to do. Subscribe so you catch the next update before it spreads as a rumor. Share this with someone who might rely on bad information. Comment your state below so I can cover the most confusing areas. And if you've dealt with a denial or a delay, tell your story briefly. I read comments when I can, and your engagement helps others find this. Stay safe, stay informed, and keep your plan simple and consistent. Important disclaimer: this video is educational only, not legal, financial, tax, or medical advice. Every situation differs and laws vary by state. Consult licensed professionals like attorneys, CPAs, or financial advisors before acting. Do not make decisions based only on this video or any single source. What works for one person may not work for another in your area.